Good evening, brothers and sisters. Glad to be here today. And we have a very interesting topic today. A very interesting topic. It's something that we should be concerned about, something that we should be talking about. And that's bucking the power structure. Bucking the power structure. So we got an amazing topic in front of us today. A very amazing topic in front of us. Because we know that there have been a few people who have made a name for themselves challenging the system. We're going to talk about them today. And I think the chief person is Kanye West. Now, and I use him because he is the best hypocrite that, to describe how slippery this administration of evil is, and how many pawns this administration of evil has inside of its network. And we have to think about that there are pawns inside of the network who has a purpose to fill. Now, when they make this trek, or when they make this decision, or they sign the paperwork to do evil for this beast, it's almost like Daniel Webster. He made a deal with the devil, so you have to keep that deal. And we have to understand, it's a thing that we have to understand, that while you're sleeping, the devil don't sleep. He's not going to stop his movement of evil. He's not going to stop loosen his grasp on this world. He's not going to do it. And he'll use whomever or whatever to keep you and I asleep, to keep us non-conscious on what is actually going on. Now, I know this sounds crazy. This sounds crazy, but I want you to understand that we're about to enter a new phase in the 21st century. We're about to enter a new phase in the 21st century. And you have to understand what's going on so that you'll know how to adjust to what is happening to us in this day, this century. And there are a lot of things going on. I'm going to explain it to you because it would at least give you something to lubricate your brain so that your brain can start working on what's happening today. So you can start understanding what's happening. It's important that you understand that we can never be free unless we are conscious to the changes that are happening in our environment and know how to respond to it. You may be in a physical oppression, but you don't have to be in a mental oppression. And the mental oppression, right, which is the knowledge, which is the light unto the eye, right? And that light goes into the body. In other words, when your eyes come open, that is the beginning of your freedom. Many of you don't have an open eye to what's going on, so I intend to explain it to you. Hello to Brother LD. Peace, brother. Question: did I attend the Savior's Day this year? I did not, but I did attend it virtually. I attended it virtually, and we're going to talk about that. But I didn't attend it physically. But it's certainly worth discussing. There are many parts of it that need to be discussed. Now, I don't know if your mind is where mine is in this discussion, but we see that everything that the enemy has put in place, the covers are being taken off. And all you have to do is pay close attention. There are clones. And I know this sounds crazy. Somebody's saying right now, Brother, Kanye West don't have a clone. You can, and scientifically, and with the naked eye, and with a conscious mind, you can see that Kanye West left a long time ago. And he was done. He was gone a long time ago. Whether you say it psychologically, whether you say it physiologically, whether you say it technologically, he's been gone a long time. I want you to understand. I want you to understand cloning, and I want you to get into the mindset of molecular biology and nanotechnology. Because you don't have to just move a person's consciousness. You can transfer a consciousness by using certain scientific maneuvers, a certain technology scientifically. You can literally change a person from an individual thinker. Change them from an individual thinker to thinking on a mass scale. And when I say a mass scale, I'm talking about a duplication of thought, a duplication of reaction that is acceptable, right, to the current bulwark or the current flow of society that is most desirable for the enemy, or one that is running this society. That's what we want to talk about. I want to talk to you about that today because that's very important. It's very important. Nanotechnology can send out microfibers and small robots in your system to alter your system. The first time that they were doing this came out in the late 70s, early 80s. When they were first experimenting on it, they were creating robots, right, synthetic, that could go inside of your body. They weren't as small as they are now, because they were experimental. But they can literally go inside of your body, eat up cancer, take away blood clots, and many things of that nature. We didn't have the technology as black scientists and black doctors unless you worked for the United States government as it relates to NASA and things of that nature. And I want to explain those things to you. These things are not isolated, because a lot of the Democrats and a lot of the Republican and a lot of the third party that are influential have been manipulated and forced to take these nanites, scientific nanites, that will go inside the body and change the body. This is how you get clones. See, anything foreign that comes out of the body, that goes inside the body to change or alter the body, is cloning the body. It's taking it from its original state to a place where it can be manipulated. I want you to understand that. I want you to understand that, because if you understand that, then you know exactly where I'm going. Don't think of a clone as in a fake robot. This is what they want you to believe. They'll make a duplicate of an important person and use it in video shows and all that. They did it with Jalen Rose. Remember, they took a duplicate of Jalen Rose and put it on an ESPN special and took a duplicate. It was like a stand-in. A stand-in. They took a duplicate and had the duplicate announcing the show and everything, just so it could be seen, just enough for it to be seen to turn his body or whatnot, right? That's nothing new. They were puppeteering mechanically an imitation of Jalen Rose. That's nothing new. They've been doing that over the last 100 years. They started doing that with the presidents, right? So when you look, you think you're seeing the president. When you look, you think you're seeing. They did the same thing with Harry and Meghan Markle. They put clones in the place of where Harry and Meghan Markle was supposed to be. And in some instances, they had people wearing masks, wearing full body masks that looked like Harry and Meghan Markle, so that the United Kingdom could seem like it was together before it all went haywire, right? And we began to find out that there was hell and trouble in the United Nations. Isn't that right? I did the same thing with Queen Elizabeth for years. She's been dead for years. It just wasn't the time Charles wasn't prepared to receive the transfer of power. You got to understand that. Now, I know this seems outlandish to a lot of people. It seems outlandish to you because you don't understand what's going on. Your eyes are closed. You're still asleep. And I tell you, brothers and sisters, you sleep in a dangerous hour. So we want to talk about this, but first, we're going to get into the mood because we got to have scripture. We're going to read scripture, and then after we read scripture, we're going to do our prayer. Is that right? And after we read that, we're going to continue to build up on this foundation so that you can know exactly what happened. There's some things I want to say about Savior's Day. Things I want to say about Savior's Day. It was different than any other day. It was very different than any other Savior's Day that I've seen. And maybe I want some of you all to chime in. What do you think was strange? What do you think was strange? But it was certainly wonderful for all the brothers and sisters to get together. I never seen the urgency displayed as I've seen it displayed this time. I've never seen it displayed quite in that fashion. But we are ready. I want you to understand, commercially, cosmetically, physiologically, politically, and otherwise, socially and otherwise, we are ready to the changing of the guard. And the powers that be have used puppets like Al Sharpton, puppets like Jesse Jackson. These guys are getting old. All of the leaders, quote unquote, so-called leaders out front, they're getting too old to keep up the facade. They're getting too old to keep up the facade. So as a result of that, and a massive amount of people that are standing up and maturing in so many ways, politically, religiously, and otherwise, they can't find someone who is totally acceptable, from the wealthiest entertainer to the lowest trashy beatnik, black or white, that will sell out for them, or that can sell out for them in a way that is acceptable. Because you have today, you got a strong divorce of education and socialism like you've never seen before, past or present, or any time in the future. So there's a changing of the guard, and you have to understand that. Brothers and sisters, now is the time to be opening up businesses, to control your money market, to invest in stock, and do whatever little thing that you need to do to get ahead. Now, the meta stock, such as Bitcoin and all that stuff, here you are trying to sell Bitcoin. You should be investing in the stock. You should be trying to invest in virtual stock. You should be trying to invest in the technology stock, the meta stocks, right? Because these things are going to make money. As sure as I'm telling you, these things are going to make money. But we need to read today, right? We need to read today. Before we get deep into this, we've got to get some spiritual awakening. We got to get some spiritual enlightenment toward it. And I'm going to read, because I know we have brothers and sisters that are Christian and also Muslim. So I want to read from the Quran, or you call it Quran, whatever you like. We want to read from the 7th verse of the book, the 19th surah of Mary or Miriam out of the Quran, and after which we're going to go to the King James Version. We're going to read something out of there, the old King James Version, old King James Version that hasn't been changed, so that we can read that and get some understanding. Now, this is the 19th surah of Mary, or rather Miriam, the 7th verse, and it reads on this wise. The angels announced, O Zechariah, indeed we give you the good news of the birth of a son whose name will be John, a name we have not given to anyone before. He wondered, my Lord, how can I have a son when my wife is barren, and I have become extremely old? The angel replied, so will it be. Your Lord says, it is easier for me, just as I created you before when you were nothing. Zechariah said, my Lord, grant me a sign. He responded, your sign is that you will not be able to speak to the people for at least 3 nights, despite being healthy. So he came out to the people from the sanctuary, signaling to them to glorify God morning and evening. It was later said, O John, hold firmly to the scriptures, and we granted him wisdom while he was still a child, as well as purity and compassion from us. And he said, and he was God-fearing and kind to his parents. He was neither arrogant nor disobedient. Peace be unto him the day he was born and the day of his death and the day he will be raised back to life. Okay, and I read that was the 19th surah of Miriam, the 7th through the 14th verse. May Allah bless your reading and understanding. May God bless your reading and understanding. Now, we're going to read from the King James. I believe that we read from the Gospel according to St. John. We're going to go back there because we're going to continue to read these. There's a reason for it, because we want to build a foundation. There's no way that you can do any effective teaching, I don't care what it is, unless you come from the Word. You got to come from the Word. Because when all else has failed, brothers and sisters, God is alive and well. When all else has failed, God is alive. God has the answer. He already has the answer. You gotta get it. But God already has the answer. Because we read this scripture as a foundation, because why? Satan is busy. He's taking over the world. He's got you fooled. You're looking at the rap star artists and the money, even looking at church. The women dressed like whores and prostitutes, trying to find men in the church, distracting people from the real lesson, because the church, not all of them, there's a few churches that are standing for righteousness, but many of them, including the leading churches, T.D. Jakes Church, is nothing but a pig pen of homosexuality, lesbianism, with the LGBTQ, whatever you want to call it, and prostitution and pimps and drug dealers, right? And all kind of lasciviousness, especially when you're letting Tyler Perry lay his hands on you and pray while you know that God has nothing to do with it. This man is a hater of reproduction, hater of women, and he pays men. I believe one of the accounts was $600,000 a year to be in his bed. He'll keep him on payroll as long as they're sleeping with him. And one of the actors are coming out and telling the truth. So there's nothing that is hidden that shall not be revealed. Don't worry about people lying on you. There's nothing hidden that shall not be revealed. And God is where you want to be. You want to be on God's side. See, that's our problem. We got to get on God's side. 5G is coming and all of the other stuff is coming. And it's going to get hotter. You got black people that need to get back into the sun. You need to be standing into the sun. You need to be looking into the sun. You need to be submitting to the sun physically, and you need to be submitting to the sun spiritually and psychologically, so that you can strengthen yourself in these last wicked and evil days. So that when the new world comes, right, and you did all of these investments physically, spiritually, financially, and otherwise, then you'll be ready to be leaders. You'll be ready to be the head, not the tail. Isn't that right? Because God said, I'll make you the head and not the tail. Ye shall not be the borrower. You should be the lender. He said, I'll make you the lender and not the borrower. You gotta sacrifice now. Many of you trying to hold on to your money, you need to invest that money now. Invest in independent black business. Create something of use so that you'll be able to serve the society, because God is getting ready to separate the right from the wrong. God is doing it. This is God moving. And the devil or the moon people don't know what to do. But the sun people have got to get from under the moon people. You got to come out of the darkness and stand in the sun, stand in the light, and the light shall reveal all things to you. It shall reveal all things to your body physically. You stand in the sun, you're strengthened. You have melanin in your body. If you're black, you're children of the sun. You're not moon people, you're children of the sun. You can't stay in the houses or the caves. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? You got to come out of the houses, got to come out of the caves, and you got to embrace God. You got to embrace him, and you have to look to the east. So, brothers and sisters, with that being said, we're going to go on and read now. We read from 7. We read the last time St. John, the first chapter through the 7th verse, or rather the first chapter through the 13th verse. And now we're going to read from the 14th verse to the 21st verse. All right. So it reads on this wise. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten Son of God, or the only begotten of the Father, the universal Father, full of grace and truth. John bare witness of him, the same John we just finished reading about, to let you know that the Quran and the scriptures of the Old King James is correct. And I want you to understand that these are black people. Jesus was black. John was black. The true children of Israel is black. That's me and you. There's no such thing as Egypt. It's Kemet. Were all where the second citadel was dispersed, with black people going across the globe, across the planet. This disbursement that came from the city of Seth, which is called Ethiopia, isn't that right? Right? The city of Seth. Seth means city of Ethiopia. So the city of Seth, and Seth being the son of Adam and Eve after the death of Abel, right? Who was noted as the prophet. Isn't that right? And Cain had killed him, which was the seed or the bloodline of Jacob, or the one they called Jacob, who manipulated people to instill slavery and to create the white race, to let the lighter live and to kill the darker. And the same thing is happening today. The very same thing is happening today. So I want to let you know that. And also I want to tell you there's no such thing as white, except that it was created through eugenics. And the philology of the words white and black was created by a racist science called eugenics. In other words, it doesn't exist. See, but the white man had to give himself a place because he has no culture. He has no true place of origin. He comes out of the caves. So what he did was he created a racial line and created a science behind it and practiced superiority. And under that, right, he wanted to gain the world. So he lost his soul because he reached to gain the world. He did it through killing other races, going to planets. The only race that has killed people across the globe. Every place that he's been, he's killed people, and the process continues, and the man has gone insane, absolutely out of his mind. And so you can't follow the way of Cain. You see? You can't follow that way. You got to follow the way of God. And follow those who follow the way of God. And these prophets, the ones that were born, all of them was black prophets. I want you to understand that. The black prophets were sent to these people that were in the caves. Your history is millions of years old. The white man's history is only 7,000 years old. The first peak he had in geology was about 60,000 years, but at that point he couldn't even walk. He was crawling and slithering on the ground. Didn't have a mind to plant nor reap for itself. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is that you are God, you're the children of God, and as far back as you go, you will always find you. There's no date to your birth. I'm just trying to open your eyes to what's going on. That's why when the scriptures open up, talk about Jesus and John, it said, he's the what? What did it say? He is the second birth line for our continuance. Isn't that right? To bring us back to our spiritual power. That is his purpose. That we will not of the world. We're in the world, but we're not of the world. We had to have somebody to come back and teach us because we had lost our way. And we who should have been teaching, is that right? And guiding these children of creation, because that's what the white man is. He's only 6,000 years old, 7,000 years old, almost 7,000, 6,600 years old. Instead of us teaching him, we began to humor him and then follow his way. If you look now, the pattern has reproduced itself around the planet, and the black man has gone insane, bleaching himself, bleaching and himself and herself, frying their hair, himself and herself, getting dreadlocks. Now they're acting as women, same as the white man did during the and practicing pedophilia and all that stuff. All of that stuff he's doing. So we've got to come back to God. Even if you're white and you know that you come from the devil, all you have to do is change your wicked ways, and Allah will have mercy on you. But you got to subdue yourself to the true gods of this planet, and Allah will have mercy on you. But other than that, you'll be destroyed. So, brothers and sisters, it said the word became flesh and dwelt among us. Who is the word? The word became flesh, became life, and dwelt among us. In other words, the true prophet, the one that would teach us the difference between all right and wrong. The one who will guide us, keep us on the righteous path. Isn't that right? That's who he's talking about. The word made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bare witness of him and cried, saying, This is of he of whom I spake. He that cometh after me is preferred before me. He was before me. And in the fullness, in his fullness, have all we received, and grace for grace. For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus, the one known as the Christ. No man had seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he had declared him. And this is the record of John. When the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, Who art thou? And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I am not the Christ. And they asked him, What then? Art thou Elias? Or as some of y'all say, Elijah? He said, I am not. Art thou that prophet? He answered, No. They said unto him, Who art thou? That we may give an answer to them that sent us. What sayest thou of thyself? And he said, I am a voice of one crying in the wilderness, Make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet Esaias or Isaiah. And they which were sent were of the Pharisees. You know, when you're doing the work of God, Satan always sending somebody else out behind you. He has to. He has to, because he knows he doesn't have much time, brothers and sisters. That's what you got to understand. This will help you stand into boldness. What is your life? What is your life? There's no sense of being afraid of that devil. You can't control nothing that he does. I'm not telling you not to be careful. I will never tell you that. But I'm telling you that you can't control nothing that he does. And anything that he does get away with, God allowed it. So you have no reason to be afraid. While you're out of your mind to be afraid, you don't have any reason to be afraid. Whatever he does is because God allowed it. You understand? It says that the righteous foot are ordered by God, right? Are ordered by God. And so when you pray, what did he say? When you pray, right? He said, pray, you say, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. Isn't that right? As we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Right? That's the reading. That is the reading. So we are encouraged, are we not? We're encouraged to do the will of God. We're encouraged knowing that God is in control of all things. We are encouraged. And if we know that God is in control of all things, we don't fear man. We can't fear man if we know that God is in control of all things. And he is. He is. When the devil does something, it's only because God has sent him to do it. He can't do anything without God. And if you believe that God is in control, right? When the Muslims do a morning prayer, what do we pray? Come on, brothers, sisters. We say, surely I have turned myself, being upright, to him who originated the heavens and the earth. I am not of the polytheists, right? Surely my prayer and my sacrifice and my life, my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he. And this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the king. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all faults. For none grants protection against faults but thee, and guide me the best of morals. For none guides to the best of them but thee, and turn away from me evil morals but thee. The following brief prayer is however, the one more generally adopted. Glory to thee, O Allah. Thine is praise, and blessed is thy name, and exalted is thy majesty, and there is none to be served beside thee. I betake me for refuge to Allah against the accursed devil. A Muslim must say his prayers. When we say that we are Muslim, those who have been submitted to the will of Allah. Those who have submitted to the will of Allah. And then we must give praise to the one to whom we have submitted to do his will. Right? And we are believers will do this. It doesn't matter whether you're Christian or Muslim. When you're a Christian, to be Christ-like means to submit to the will of God. Because Christ himself was a Muslim. Yahshua, Aliyah, Asa, or the one you call Jesus, was a Muslim. This is fact. So now that we cover the foundation, what I want to tell you is we've got, as surely as we're concentrating on the angelics that are working for God in this world, right, and the people of God, then you have people of Satan. Yeah, you got people that will do whatever it takes to sell out in whatever way possible, whatever necessary, whatever works for them, they'll sell out and believe that getting that money, that little money that you can't take with you to the grave, that's not going to last, they'll sell out and do whatever it takes against God to get that money. Well, how do we know it's against God? It's against God if it affects our brethren. It's against God if it affects our sisters. If it puts somebody in a bind or cause you to set satire and trap for someone, that is against God. Right? The word said, how can you say you love me whom you've never seen, but hate your brother and sister that you see daily? Isn't that right? So when we do something against one another, we're going against God. I want you to understand that, because this is important we have to have sound doctrine. This is important for us to understand. If you do evil against one another, you're doing evil against God. Right? In the last day, when man is standing for atonement and standing before the great judge, the great head, and the question is going to be asked, when I was hungry, you fed me not. When I was naked, you clothed me not. When I didn't have shelter, you wouldn't even put me up. Right? And the question is going to be asked, when did I see you hungry, naked, and without shelter? When did I see you? And the great head is going to tell us, as often as you did it unto the least of these, you did it unto me. So we've got to work and put ourselves in position to be able to bless one another, not curse one another, brothers and sisters. We got to be able to bless one another. Now, there are agents working in evil. See, we got to talk about agents, because if you put something foreign in the body, we're going to talk about the body. We're going to talk about the spiritual body. We're going to talk about, understand eschatology, talk about that body. We're going to talk about the the corporal body and the incorporeal body. Then we're going to talk about the natural body. Okay, and when we alter people, we alter their minds, right? But in order to alter their minds, they have to have understanding. So the best way to alter people is to put them into an institution that is teaching the same thing. Now, with that being said, the church is the easiest place to go for the first level of alternation, or to alter someone. Now, this in the black church and the white church. In the black church and the white church, if you're teaching a certain thing and you teach it enough, people will begin to believe it. People will begin to believe it, even if it's not true. Even if it's not true. When you were in darkness, brothers and sisters, and you thought there was no difference in water, because you look at it, it all looks the same. Water all looks the same, but all of it isn't the same. You have some water that's got fluoride and chloride in it. It's clear as the water that has been through osmosis, or water that's been through a natural form of purification. It looks the same as the spring water. It looks the same as a geyser water, right? It looks the same as well water, but they're different. Just by their name, they're different. They have different properties. But the difference in the denominations of water is that one of them have fluoride and chloride in it, not good for the body. The others have different minerals that come from the natural state that are good for the body. But we know the ones that have man-made agents are not good for the body. Is that right? So when you drink it, it's putting a foreign agent in you. Fluoride and chloride is not meant for human consumption, right? You drink well water, it's clear. It's clear water, sweet water. When you drink water from the spring, this is clean water. It's sweet water. When you get water from a geyser, right? That's clean. When you get it from iceberg, right? That's clean. That's a clean water. It has, in other words, no man-made interruption in it. And I'm using that as an example because we're going to build on that. Now, if I can change your way of thinking, I've just put a foreign agent in you spiritually. I've just cast a devil or demon in you. If I can make you question righteousness, if I can make you question righteous living, if I can make you apathetic, that means to show lack of emotional interest to righteous living and proper living, then I have just cast a spell in you and a spell on you, and that will make you demonic because you will work against everything that reminds you of anything holy, anything righteous, and anything just. I have just created that in you. All right, and we're building from that. Now, let's get away from the word and the mindset that I can put you in, and let's talk technology, talk biology. When you talk about medicines, well, we know that the Jews, greetings, brother Keabar, greetings. The true Jews are the black people, in my opinion. These are the true Jews. But now when you go to those Zionist Jews and the Ashkenazi Jews and all that, they're not real Jews. And they are demonic. They're white people, many of them German, many of them European. And they went over into a dark land and took those people's land, which was originally given to the Palestinian. And we're going to touch on that today. But I just wanted to stop and say that and say hello to you, brother. So when you begin to, back on the subject, when you begin to talk about treatment within the body, if this is a man-made agent, and I got to be careful because I want to make sure they don't try to erase this. So I'm choosing my word choice very carefully. When you put a foreign agent inside the body for a certain desired effect, you have altered the genetics of that body. Do you understand? No matter what it is, you've altered the genetics. Let's say it was surgery and they would create microphages, mini robots to eat up, in real tiny robots to eat up cancer cells, to eat up blood clots, to clean the brain from tumors and stuff like that. Let's talk about that. Excuse me. Let's talk about that. If these things are put in the body and the body has no control over them, they're agents. Now, if you could put these things in the body and they're to eat up blood cells, and that's their programming. What's to stop them from doing that all over the body? Other than they can only contain a certain amount of blood tissue or blood enzyme. And I ask you that because I want your mind to start thinking. If you could put something in the body with a certain purpose, right? If it handles blood cells, then it can handle brain cells. Is that right? Right? It can. It can. Because it's small enough to produce a desired effect. That's what I want you to know. I want you to think along those lines. Now, what are the possibilities of that already happening and been happening for the last 20 years? Because the scientists stay on top of, they stay ahead of everything that we got going on. They stay ahead of everything we have going on, at least 20 years ahead. If I can alter through geneticists, and I'm going to call it mechanical geneticists, that are controlled by satellite, if I can become an electronic cellular structure in the body to mimic blood cells and whatever cells, whether it be brain cells or whatever it is, if I can do that, get in the body, fulfill what's called a desired effect, what is there to stop me from changing who you are? Because at that point, I can control you by sonar, by satellite, or whatever. I can produce a desired effect. Now, there are certain things I can't say on the web because I know they'll wipe the show out. You've witnessed how they wipe my shows out completely. So I'm not going to say anything that's going to get it wiped right away. Well, I'll tell you this. If you don't have the sense in this day and age to understand what a clone is, there's nothing I can do to help you, brothers and sisters. And I tell you that Kanye West is a clone. And anytime that he stood out to do other than what he was designed for, he began to act very erratic. He's not the only one. He's not the only one. Look at what's happening to Wendy Williams. Look at what happened to Martin Lawrence. All of these people, look at what happened to them. When they were speaking conscious, right? Then next thing you know, they began to be erratic. The minute they started talking like they had some sense, and this is way before COVID, has nothing to do with it. This is something totally different. Totally different. Totally different. So what we have to understand, brothers and sisters, that there's a programming that's happening to the human mind. There's a programming that is being controlled by satellite. There's a programming that happened to the human mind. These things at one time or another have been, these foreign agents have been ingested at one time or another. And the only way that you are going to get by it is by ingesting natural nanites that come from nature. That has nothing to do with man. These are holy nanites. That's why you're supposed to live right. These nanites will help you think right. You hydrate yourself well enough, it get rid of the mucus in the body. So your brain is not clogged. Your system is not clogged. You can think and see clearly. You should be fasting. Should only really be eating one meal a day. You've been trained to eat more than one meal. You should only eat one meal a day. Should only eat one meal a day. That's healthy for the body. You should be hydrating throughout the day. that washes the body on the inside, that baptizes the body on the inside. Oh, brothers and sisters, I wish I had a witness. This cleans the body so that all the dirt and everything unclean and everything impure can come out of the body. Isn't that right? And once it comes out of the body is no longer defiled. You have to understand that. You eat healthy, you'll think healthy. You practice holistic living, you'll get a holistic lifestyle. If you think Pentecostal, you'll begin to act Pentecostal. If you think holy, you'll begin to act holy. What does it mean to be holy? It means to not practice the things of the world, right? We're not going to practice the things of the world. We're going to do what God says, and we're going to get on God's side so God can get on our side. And that's as easy as it is. What does God tell you? How does he tell you to live? You got the instruction, and now you got devils saying that Jesus isn't real, right? And he's right, but he's got the wrong Jesus. The white Jesus isn't real. That's the reason why I read to you from the Quran and also read to you from the King James. So you have both. The truth is there. You got to see the truth. Black Jesus is real. Black Jesus was crucified. Black Jesus rose, right, because of his living and his practice and his lifetime and him being in tune with God. He said, what I've done, ye shall do greater things. But you accept death. You accept the teachings of the enemy. You accept these things. You see what I mean? This is what you accept. So you don't believe it. You have no faith because you've been listening to one who knows death. He don't know life. The white man knows death. The only race ever recorded around the world that all the darker skinned people around the world, whether they be yellow, brown, red, or black, was said, beware of the high coast, the Hyksos. Beware of him. Beware of the one coming out of the cave. Beware of pale face. The red man said, beware of pale face. Is that right? Beware of them. Why? Because they are warrior people, and every hand that they have is against the hand of all other creation. And you wonder why the most honorable Elijah Muhammad was taught that they were devils. You wonder why. Well, it was taught that because it's the truth. What does a devil do? What does a devil do? You got to ask yourself that question. You have to ask yourself that question. What does a devil do? Some of the brothers and sisters right now are saying, well, all are not devils. Brothers and sisters, it's a shame that in this late date, you see the white man and you see everything he's doing, and you won't relegate him to the position that he's earned. He's hung the black man. He drags the black man. He drugs the black man. He kills the black man. He beats the black man. He breaks into the churches and shoot black people down. As police officers, he do more evil than any other that done. It's totally corrupted the comfortable position of what it is to be a peace officer, right? Because he's one of war. And there's still those that are defending these people that have given themselves over to hate, given themselves over to murder, given themselves over to covetousness, and have given themselves over to cursing God. And you got black people that are doing the same thing. Doing the very same thing. So I'm telling you to believe in God. Believe in God. No matter what the denomination is, because as black people, you about out of your mind saying that you can't go to somebody's church because they're Baptist, Methodist, Episcopalian, or whatever. Whatever bondage they're in, because that's what it is, a religious bondage. But there are those that are in that, right, that need to be taught. If you go there with the mind that you're ready to teach them and pray to Allah God or Jesus, whoever you want, whatever you want to say the reference is, I mean the eternal God. And all these references, right, points to God. Go there with the intent of teaching. Go there with the intent of dwelling in unison and reconciliation with your brothers and sisters. You'll never do it from the outside. We've got to get together. Black people have got to get together. That's what you and I have to do. We got to get together. We got to get together. And once we've gotten together, because the white man, when he see you, he's not going to say, oh, don't kill him. He's a African Methodist. Don't kill him. He's Episcopalian. Oh, don't kill him. He's Baptist. Don't kill him. He's Southern Baptist. Don't kill him because he rides behind us with a white sheet on in the Klan. Because you had a lot of black people with white sheets on in the Klan's movement, killing black people so that their family can live. You have sellouts on every level. But I'm telling you, don't fear man or mankind. He can only harm the body. Fear God, who can harm the body as well as the soul. And it's this fear that is allowing these entertainers to sell their souls, to be cloned, and many of them have a certain job to do, and then when you find out, they end up dead. What I'm telling you, and you, when I say death, I mean if you're mentally altered, you are mentally dead. If you're physically altered, then you're physically dead. If you're biologically altered, then you're biologically dead. If you're physiologically altered, then you're physiologically dead. If you're constitutionally altered, you're dead. That's a death. That's a death. If you buy into the persona and the personality that they give you, right, with the name Negro, because I know what that really means. It comes from necra, right? Dead people. They call you spooks, right? And some people still use the term. That's a death. Right now, you're politically dead. You're politically dead. You can't say you're politically immature. You're politically dead. You don't have any power. You're religiously dead. If you're not using the power and the instructions of God, you're spiritually dead. If you don't fear God, if you don't know him in the pardon of your sin, is that right? If you don't know him as a waymaker and a resurrector, you're spiritually dead. You're blind, you're dumb. If you fear that man, if you fear mankind, right, rather than God, you're blind, deaf, and dumb. Brothers and sisters, if you haven't received resurrection, you're dead. You're dead. And your master, because that's what the white man is to many of you. He's your master. Is that right? White man is your master. Your master is keeping up the same old habit that he had before he put you in slavery. Right? Because that's what you and I are. We're in slavery. We're oppressed. We're downtrodden. Isn't that right? That's what we are. We're enslaved. It just looks different. Look different. Slaves could have plantations on the house. Many of them had, slaves could have plantations, have houses on plantation. Many of them had jobs on plantation. Good jobs too. Good job. Many of them had vacations. You think slaves didn't have vacation? They couldn't work in the winter. They couldn't work, so they had vacation. Right? Yeah. They had these things. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. The master's doing good, and he made sure that they were good. Because the more comfortable they were, the more comfortable he could be. I'm trying to open your eyes to something. As long as you didn't go against the rules of the plantation. Kanye West, when you look at him, he was all right. He created the song Jesus Walk and all of his earlier work. He was getting at the man. Every time he turned around, he was breathing down the man's neck, his throat. But then what happened? He got with a she-devil. And that's all he's been dealing with since the one she-devil is more she-devils. He got with that she-devil, Kim Kardashian, and she's not black. And I want you to stop saying she's black. I'm tired of black people trying to make white people black. She's white with man tan on, and she came to entertainment and came to infamy as a sex doll. That's what she was, prostitute. Yeah, that's how she got her notoriety. I'm just being honest. Ray J brought her out, making those sex tapes. Yeah, so she was a porn star. Yeah, she knows about it because her mom helped organize the same thing with Ray J. Her mom helped do that. Her mom sold them out because her mom was the same thing. Kris Jenner is nothing but a whore and a sex doll, sex toy for pornography. That's the truth. But what happens to you and I is we make it too comfortable for whites that they've done everything else to us, and now they even want to take our race. And you give it to them freely. I won't. I don't do that. Rachel Dolezal, she baked herself and dunked in cocoa and all of that and cooked the cocoa on her. And she was running around here saying that she was black, and you all knew that she was white and didn't say nothing against it. So her parents had to come on and say, no, she's not black. She's as white as snow. Snowball white. And you let her continue to. She said, oh, no, they're lying. And she continued. And you welcomed her back in. I mean, that's your problem. That is your problem. We will let anybody get in. You look, bank presidents now of black banks are white. You got, many of them are. You got black colleges, historically black colleges and universities that have white presidents of these colleges. How the hell do you get a white man? Tell me, somebody, please help me. Over a black organization other than black people hiring him and voting him in. You have so much self-hate today that you'll let the white man, you'll beg him to come be over your organization or in your organization or to fund your organization because you have no trust in God. You have no love for yourself. You have no trust in God. And that's what continues to keep us in bondage. You and I should be standing in the liberty that we've been made free and that we have taken off the yoke of bondage, standing in the liberty that we have been made free. But you won't do it. You're just like the children of Israel when Moses was bringing them out. That's why John and Jesus had to come. They had to come to reteach you. Say, listen, you've been made free. You was brought out of bondage. What do you look like serving these Greeks? What do you look like serving these Romans who are calling themselves Jews? Come on, brothers and sisters. When we know the original Jew is the black man, you got to wake up, brothers and sisters. You have to wake up. You're in a dangerous hour. You sleep in a dangerous hour. You sleep in a dangerous hour. I want to take you to Ephesians very quickly. Take it to Ephesians because this is important reading. You have to know this. A lot of them don't want to read this. We want to read the 5th chapter of Ephesians. Then we're going to go to the 6th chapter and read 6 and 1. But listen to this, brothers and sisters. This is for our model walk in the day of the Jehovah God, the day of the eternal God. We know as Allah, God. Some say Jehovah. Some say Yahshua, right? Aliyah Asa, which is Jesus, right? When the spirit of Elijah has come, the spirit of Elijah was the spirit of God and the testimony and teachings of salvation. Isn't that right? But of the times, and this is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1. But of the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that the day should overtake you as a thief. You're not in darkness. In other words, it's not going to affect you. You see all these people being taken over because they don't belong to God. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. But let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us who are of the day, that means those that are standing in the light, standing in intelligence, standing in God, let those of us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith. We have to believe in God, and love, and for an helmet, the hope of salvation. For God hath not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Jesus Christ. Brothers and sisters, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. What does that mean? That we be directed by God, that we are God's handiwork. Will the time come when God allows us to avenge? It's God's hour. Those of us that are awake will be waiting on instructions from God. I don't know about you, brothers and sisters, but I'm waiting on instructions from God. I'm not fearing my enemy. They have no power. The white man is not the standard. He's not the standard of peace, not the standard of freedom, not the standard of salvation, not the standard of unification or anything like that. That's why you can't believe him. You've been in proof of which the man put you in slavery so he could make it. If he hadn't put you in slavery, he couldn't survive. I want you to understand that it took godly people and holy people, enslaved us, our ancestors, so he could survive, because he didn't know how to cook his own food, couldn't take care of his own children. He was eating blood meat, didn't even know how to cook his own meat, couldn't plant, couldn't get back to the earth so he's able to reap it. He couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it. What does the sixth chapter say? It says, the walk of the believer as God's dear child. So how does it read? This is the sixth chapter of Ephesians. The domestic life of spirit-filled believers as children and servants. When it says children, it means one who comes from God, from the offspring of righteousness. Not children in the sense that the white man says, you'll call us boy, call out women, girl, and all that. Not in that sense, but in a spiritual sense. This is on a heavenly or a high plane. The domestic life of the spirit-filled believers. You have to be a believer in God and believe in the one whom God sent. And God is sending many of us back and forth. See, the white man have you say, well, he sent Jesus, and the apostle were the last of the ones that had any kind of instruction from God. That's not true. The Bible doesn't say that. And you got ignorant black teachers of Christian doctrine that are talking about the law is dead. The law is dead. The law is not dead. The law has been fulfilled and is made plainer to us. And the more intelligent we are, we'll begin to follow the word of God, right? Which will be a lamp unto our feet, and a light unto our path. So it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and thy mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, that thou mayest live long on the earth. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters, according to the flesh. In other words, who are in charge on this earth, according to the flesh. They're not your spiritual masters. They're not your earthly masters either, but they're the ones that are in these positions. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, right? Isn't that what Jesus said? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's? And this is the same thing, right? Right? Be obedient to them that are your masters. They are in charge on this earth according to the flesh, with fear and trembling and singleness of your heart as unto Christ. So you don't fear the people that are in power. We're going to do it. Be obedient to the law as it's a serving unto God. But you're not our boss. You're not our master. You won't run us and you won't tell us what to do. We're not going to listen to nothing you have to say if it's unrighteous. But we'll do right. We'll keep the law, because many of us keep the law better than they keep the law. White police don't keep the law. White people don't keep the law. That's why America's gone haywire. That's the reason it's gone haywire, because they don't keep the law. And when the spirit of the Antichrist has went out, you find out that people will lie without a conscience and do everything else without a conscience. You won't know why some people are coming against you, but the spirit of the Antichrist is running rampant. And that's why God tells us the reconciliation and to forgive so that we can restore people. We've got to wake up. We got to wake up. You think devils don't talk in tongues? They do. Yeah, they do. You think devils are not in the church? Why, they're in the church. Where do you think Satan came from? He came from out of the choir section. He was called Lucifer, son of morning. He's a choir director. Come on, brothers and sisters. So we don't want to yield. I'm telling you this because the time is coming upon us where they have a heavy push to alter you. I'm going to put it that way. I'll put it that way. And you got to be wise. You got to be strong. And you got to be intelligent enough and have enough faith in God to not worry about how you're going to eat, not worried about how your bills will be paid. You're going to have to start uniting with one another and be a help with one another, right? Because in unity, there's strength. And trust God and get on God's side. And if you get on God's side, God will be on your side. That's all I have for you today. Because you need to know that people are being cloned. They're being cloned in many different ways. And what you see is not what you think you see. Right? What you really see is not what you think you see. And it's happening around you. And if you don't open your eyes, you're going to miss it. If you don't open your eyes, you will become a victim of what the devil is doing throughout this planet. You will become a victim. You need to lean and depend on God. And the more holistic you become, and the more holy you become, there's nothing wrong with you becoming holy and living a righteous life. And I'm not talking about how Snoop Dogg is living. Because Snoop Dogg is no Muslim. He's no Christian either. He's an entertainer. And he's bought and he's paid his price, his blood sacrifice. A lot of them have risen to prominence because Tupac is dead. You don't hear me. I said Judas betrayed Tupac. Many of these Judases, I'm calling the name out, Dr. Dre, Tupac, P. Diddy, many other ones that was around him because he was a Jesus figure. You don't hear me, brothers and sisters. Many of those that were around him are wealthy and haven't made an album in I don't know how long. And you have to ask yourself, how are these people paying their bills? You got to ask yourself that. When you see black people in front of you that the white man seems to be putting his arm around and seems like everything they do is turning to gold, you got to do a double take and know that you want to get as far away from those people as you can. Anybody the white man lift up in this world, you better run like hell to get far away from them. T.D. Jakes, out of the church, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, these people are satanic and demonic. And these people are looking at Cat Williams like he's crazy. God is using Cat Williams. God is using him to pull the sheet off of these devils and demons, both black and white, that are doing the will of Satan, that have been called by Satan to do the devil's satanic and evil deed. Your eyes have to be open. See, God bless Shannon Sharp to get that show so that black people can reconcile with one another and that the truth can come out. God is still working. God is still on the throne. God has his people working in entertainment, but the devil has his people too. You look at Jay-Z, he's a devil, still dealing drugs, still dealing in dirtiness. Many of us know that he's drugging his wife, got her on drugs, so she's constantly serving him. She's a whore and a prostitute, and now they got Blue Ivy coming in, teaching her wrong. Same thing with Kim Kardashian when you look at North. When you look at Northwest, it's the same way. They're dressing naked and just like whores. The housewives of Atlanta, see, the traditional woman, the woman that God has set in front of you that's in the church, the devil has made her invisible because you got all of these whores that will dress naked and do anything to get you, would do anything in this world to get you. And the devil will divide holy women from holy men. He'll create problems within the relationship to divide you from that man and that woman. Because he don't want holy people getting together, because God has called the holy men and women of this world. In other words, all of those that would do his will, all of those that would stand against drinking, stand against homosexuality, stand against drugs, stand against prostitution, stand against pimping, stand against all kind of evil. God has called you out to reset this world on the course of salvation. Well, don't you know if God is calling you out, that the devil is cloning and calling his people out to do his will? That's all I want to tell you, brothers and sisters. That's all I have for you. I look forward to coming before you tomorrow. So we can talk again. I believe it'll be at 7:30. Nonetheless, check on Facebook and LinkedIn or some of the other search engines, and you'll see when you and I will be meeting again. And I welcome you. Those of you that are on the West Coast that haven't heard it, that will hear it, because I know a lot of y'all get it late. I want to thank you for all your support, and those that are asking for these shows to be redone, brothers and sisters. I want to thank you. I'll forever come and do the show. Special thanks to Brother LD and Brother Vlad. Special thanks to you. God bless you and move forward. Be instruments of God and not instruments of the devil. Watch and see what the devil is doing. And that's how you know how to pray. You'll know how to pray and yield yourself to God. Submit to God, and he will direct your path. He will keep you on the path of righteousness, brothers and sisters. And there's nothing wrong with that. Brothers and sisters, don't forget that we also have our site. And you know we believe in natural healing. We don't believe in unnatural healing. We don't believe in unnatural healing. We believe in natural healing. So we're calling you and asking you to pick up some of these products. And our leaving, we have products. And we want you to be able to get these healthy. And guess what we're going to do? Tell you what we're going to do. We're not greedy. We're not greedy. We push these products out because we want you to have good health. We want you to have the products. So we'll put the products in. I tell you to buy black. Put the products in. And whatever you send, I want you to be sure to send it by email. Upload your email. And we will send you the product that you want. All you have to do is send it to the email, and we'll send you the product. And we'll also have with you as a special gift a book that you'll be able to read virtually. We'll send it directly to you. We're not looking to make any money, brothers and sisters. That's not why we do this. And we want to be able to support this mission so that we can send you the righteous information out. And a lot of you may have questions. If you got the book to read it, you won't have to worry about it. You got the books to read it. We're not concerned about crowds or anything like that. We're thankful that Allah God has given us the use of the internet. God has given us the use of the internet. Isn't that right? And God, in giving us the use of the internet, has allowed you and I to be able to record these things so that others will be able to review it and go back to the Word of God. Just like he's given us the Bible. The Bible was reproduced. We know that these virtual stems are being reproduced, brother. These streamers are being reproduced live so that you'll be able to go back. We don't know. Life is not promised to any of us. And we know the devil is busy. We know the devil is busy. But I will not yield I'm going to stand on the righteousness of God, and I'm going to stand on the side of God. I'm going to get on God's side so that God will be on my side, be on your side. And that's what he calls us for, brothers and sisters. The awesome Almighty God that have watched us throughout this difficult time, watched our ancestors. He's watched over us, dangers seen and unseen, brothers and sisters. And I don't know about you, but I get so happy when I think about the power of God and how powerful he is. I'm thankful for God. We have so much coming up against us. Our children are running rampant. Isn't that right? We don't have, in the black community, we just don't have the support to keep the money up, to beautify our communities, to our streets. That man's not going to give you the money, right? We'll have to raise it to beautify our communities, to take houses that are wearing down and renovate those houses and put some family in those houses. That would clear poverty. That would clear homelessness from the street. We can start a mission within our community. Isn't that right? We can start a mission in our community. We don't have to ask for grants to have a mission in our community, brothers and sisters. These things we can do ourselves. He tells us that in the unity there's strength. God says in unity there's strength. We've got to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. Isn't that right? That's what God is calling us to do. You and I, brothers and sisters. You and I have got to get together. Put our heads together. We got to get our religion out of the way. You got to get your religion out of the way. The religion hadn't helped some of you anyway. You should have been got rid of it. But don't let the religion that we pay homage to or that we adhere to, don't let those religions stop us from getting together. Wherever you feel that you can be effective, whether it be from the black nationalist community, whether it be from the Methodist Church, the Black Baptist Church, the Black Episcopalians, the Black Catholic, wherever it may be, even if it's the NAACP, join the NAACP. If you can make a difference there, join it. Wherever black people are, wherever the black organization is, go there with a hymn on your lip and praises to God, and go there with a scripture to begin the sanctification process and to begin to reverse the cloning process, to open up the eyes of your brothers and sisters, to open up the ears of your brothers and sisters, to anoint the tongue of your brothers and sisters. Yes, sir. So they can come out and speak the holy, acceptable word of God, which is blameless, which is full of salvation, brothers and sisters, which is full of salvation. Because God has called you and I out in a time such as this. God has. We can't do anything without God because he's so high that we can't get over. He's so wide that we can't get around him. He's so low that we can't get under. We got to learn how to vibrate through him, to go through him. Isn't that right? And get his spirit on us and in us, that will be able to deliver a world that's already ready for destruction. Isn't that right? And God has taught us the message to the black man. Is that right? Right? God has brought us the message to the black man. You know it has to be from God. You know it's from God. Because this message to the black man that comes from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, this wonderful, beautiful message teaches us how not to be the tail, but to be the head. To not to be the borrower, but to be the lender. It teaches us to stand on our own amid the oppression that's in the world. That we can receive the salvation of God and go to others to tell them this wonderful news so that they can understand and ask the question, what must I do to be saved? Once we've heard this wonderful message, to welcome them in. That's the question that's asked in the movement. Is there anything that you've heard today that'll make you decide to join this organization? Is that right? They do the same thing in the Christian church, right? No matter what the organization is, as long as it's teaching righteousness, brother and sister, that's the organization that you should be a part of. That's the organization that you should be working in to change the black community. But we've got to be united. We've got to be united. As a matter of fact, as the end day approaches, we should be gathering even more so, telling each other about what God desired of his people on this earth. The world is being turned back over to us, brothers and sisters, and we have to be ready. I salute you, brothers and sisters. If I didn't say it in the beginning, I say it now. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.